to our Collider Star Wars Rebels recap show right here on Collider Video. Today, we are talking about what we think is the mid-season finale, sort of. Anyway, we're talking about Star Wars Rebels, the episode Legacy. We're going to talk about some of the things we loved about this episode, some of the things we thought could have been better about this episode, and we're going to give a little bit of future speculation as well. But before we get into any of that, introduce myself. My name is John Campy. I'm the senior producer here at Collider Video, and sitting over here on my left...
It's Grand Moff Griffin here, representing, talking about possibly the mid-season finale. Hope it's not. I hope we get one more. Possibly. I hope we get one more. I want to get one more.
And over here on my right...
Yeah, Christian Harloff here. And yeah, really confusing because we thought there was another episode that was going to come on Saturday, but now that's not the case. This is the mid-season finale. And you
guess?
Yeah, when you end this episode, you're like, huh?
Yeah, what?
Oh, well,
yeah,
see you in January.
Let's save that for a little bit until we get to the things that we thought maybe could have been better about this episode. So, look, we have an episode here where we're seeing now, I think for the first time, we're seeing Ezra delving a little deeper into the Force, which I thought was really cool. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, one of the things I loved is that it was an Ezra and Kanan-centric story. Yeah. I thought that was great. You get to see, it's like the best of this episode. They put a lot of the characters in it. So we got to see Agent Kallus, we got to see the Admiral, we got to see the 7th and the 5th. Yep. We got to see, you know, some lightsaber action going on, a really nice confrontation between Ezra and Agent Kallus, which I thought was pretty badass and maybe a little foreboding. At the same time, anyway, David, for you, what are the things that really worked well for you with this episode of Rebels?
I liked, John, what you already said, is Ezra growing in the Force. As soon as he started getting the visions, I thought of Yoda, like, places you will see, you know, all that, you know, like people you will see, other places, you know, friends long gone, you know, that whole thing. Of course, we get to what happened to his parents later, but I just liked him seeing all that. Like, he's growing. I think he's almost, again, not maybe in the fighting sense, but in the mental sense, the meditation sense, I think he might even be more gifted than Kanan. I don't know if Kanan can see all that. You know, I don't know. Maybe he can't, because, I mean, Kanan did have to teach him later on in the episode, like, when he was going through the names of the people, like, you know, reach out and figure out who this whole prisoner X-10 guy is. But I think that we're seeing him grow so much. It's really interesting to see that.
What about you, Christian? What are some of the things that really worked for you this episode?
A lot what you guys are talking about. But I think that, David, I think it's pretty much implied, like you were saying, that Ezra is just strong in the Force, and maybe even so. There was even kind of a joke in it where he's like, if you can sense that from here,
you can follow that meerkat, whatever it was. You're really
strong. He's like, no, I put a tracker on. So I thought that was a cool little joke, good Star Wars joke. I loved the scene when they were pinned down and Ezra just got pissed off and almost channeled like the dark side and envisioned himself doing that flip. We saw that flip. He just smacked Kallus around. And I also thought it was great where he's running after the 7th sister and the 5th brother, and you're like, okay,
I want to see it.
What's going to happen here? And then Kanan's like, nope, and shoots the door shut. I thought that was really good. It was going off the dynamic that you were talking about with Kanan and Ezra, to see them and the appreciation that Ezra obviously has for him. And I think developing one of our biggest problems that we've had, and I know it's not a prequel bash, I know, but one of the problems with Anakin is in the prequels, the movies anyway, where it's just the Shmi thing. It was his mother. It wasn't developed as much. You knew the anger was there, but then it just was kind of forced. And with this, with Ezra, with his parents, you understand where that dark side's coming from. You get it. You understand the loneliness behind it and how he's been kind of abandoned and why he was abandoned. And then the reveal of the prisoner at the end, I thought was great. And Clancy Brown, how do you not put Clancy Brown as one of your positives this episode? The guy's great. He played Darth Maul's brother. He's been in a lot of other things, Shawshank. So overall, I thought there was a lot of great things in this episode. Yeah,
that scene in particular, to me, the crowning jewel of the episode was absolutely that battle scene when they're pinned down.
Yeah, Chopper hiding.
Chopper, which I thought was great. Chopper showing just a little bit legit fierce. Like, he comes up, it's like, nope, turn around, go right back. I thought that was cute. But I mean, I think it's even more telling because when we have seen Ezra flirt with the dark side, we have seen that happen, even if he hasn't intended to, right? And clearly in this instance, he was acting out of rage. He was acting out of anger. He was also acting out of impatience. Frustration. All that into the one. And when it finally came out, I mean, he wasn't calm and at peace when he did the force push on Kallus to send him flying against a wall, right? That was all in anger. And I do wish they had maybe cut back to Kanan. Instead of Kanan just going, well, I taught him that. I wish they showed a little bit of concern on Kanan's face because as somebody watching the show, I'm concerned about Ezra at this point and how he's delving into this stuff. And you're right, though. I was wanting him to get to the brother and the sister. I was wanting him to get there and see, okay, what would a rage-infused Ezra look like in combat with these two? I thought that would be kind of interesting. But anyway, so those are the highlights of the episode. Dave, let's go over to you. What do you think maybe the episode was weaker on, or maybe could have done better?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with my expectations, because I've heard that this could be the midseason finale, so I was expecting a big ending, which we didn't get. It was subtle, maybe too subtle. Didn't leave me wanting more necessarily. So I mean, I wanted something shocking or something that we didn't expect. But going to a positive and moving it to a negative, I don't think Ezra's going to go bad anymore. I think a lot of people have been speculating. We've been speculating that maybe Ezra could go dark side somewhere down the line. But I think with his mother's message to him, his parents' message to him to never give up on hope, seeing his parents in there looking at the two, almost like a reverse Luke. Instead of seeing two suns, he sees two moons. He's looking out there, wondering about things, having these visions. I think he's going to stay good. But again, I think that the ending was it just happened. I didn't care at the end, which besides that scene, I didn't care, and I was disappointed. I wanted something more interesting to happen. Yeah. I think it has to do with my expectations. So I think I'm rambling. I think it had to do with my expectations about this being a midseason finale. It didn't deliver on that.
For me, with the exception of that one scene where they're pinned down, which is a terrific scene, it's one of the weaker episodes of the year. Okay, think about it this way. In terms of an episode, right? Where does the episode start? Where do we start? Pre-credits, as the Force Awakens, as Rebels. I got Force Awakens on the brain, folks. As the Rebels credits start playing, the music's playing, right? We have Ezra, who has lost his parents. He is a guy who knows his parents have died. And we go through, the Force gives him a vision, and we go through this episode only to end up in the spot of Ezra knowing that his parents are dead and no longer alive. It's like, when they got to that ending and he found out that his parents perished in the prison escape, I remember sitting and thinking, what was the point of this episode? Like, what was the point? Ezra is no further along than he was just a little while ago when he was still sleeping in his bunk thinking his parents were dead. So he went on this big adventure just to find out his parents are dead. Now, unless Dave Filoni's got a little surprise up his sleeve where Ezra's parents do come back into the story a little bit later, and this was all just a piece of the puzzle. But even if that's the case, they should have done a better episode with this episode to make it feel like a complete episode rather than what it was for me. I don't know. What did you think about it, Christian?
Well, first, to address your concern there, which I understand, I think that's why I'm so confused about this mid-season finale, because there was rumor that the next episode, which I think is called, what's the prisoner's name?
The prisoner, X-10.
Yeah. So I think the next episode is called The Secret of X-10, right. Prisoner X-10. And that's the one Dave Filoni said that the last 5 minutes of that, you're going to be like, whoa. So I'm confused as to why they didn't end the season with that, because I think that this arc that we got right here ties into that arc, obviously, and whether it's the reveal that his parents are still alive or something happened to his parents that make you say, oh, well, that furthered the story along, because I do understand that by this episode alone, it kind of seems like, well, okay, well, we kind of knew that already, and he's, like you said, is the same he was before. But I think it plays into the arc. And what I've also learned about Rebels is not to judge things on, oh, this didn't really serve the story, because in season 1 there were a couple times that, well, that's a filler episode, and it came back to play. Yeah. So I'm saving judgment. I will say, David, I actually am on the complete opposite side of you as far as the Ezra. I think he's definitely going dark now, and I think that because of that message of hope, that's going to play back, because they warned him. They told him, it's like,
don't lose hope.
Listen, hope, and that's going to go away. When that goes away, when he loses hope, that's the message to us, that as long as he keeps hope, he'll stay on the light side. So when he doesn't, and when he goes to the dark side, we're going to go, no, we're going to have an emotional attachment, more so like, have hope like your parents told you. No, we lost him. And Kanan can use that as well too when trying to get him back. So I'm curious to which perspective is actually going to come true. As far as what I didn't like, I could have done without the cat. It seemed really kiddish. I know it's Disney XD, and I know that we're going to get that sometimes.
Well, that cat, that species, as you say, has played a recurring role.
It has,
right from episode 1.
And it's always bothered me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just kind of seems like a Pikachu or something. I don't know what it's.
It does look like a Pikachu.
It's like a Pikachu. So and even Kanan's like, and now we're chasing cats or whatever. And so it did kill the episode for me? No, but I could have done without it, especially when you have like the emotional arc of what Ezra's going through.
I wanted to argue just on the point of finding out that his parents were dead, if they are in fact dead, is that it gives them closure. I think maybe again, I hope we get that next episode soon, The Secret of Prisoner X-10, because I think that's Ezra can put his parents behind him now. they're dead. He knows exactly what happened. He has a story in his head. He can close that chapter of his life out and then move on to the next phase. Maybe this is the catalyst to propel him to whatever he's going to become next. And again, I agree with you. Maybe like what was the whole point of that?
Right.
But the only thing I can think of is maybe to give him closure.
Right.
That's all I can think of.
Thinking about parents speaking to their children, when you're bringing that up, it made me think about what was the last conversation Anakin had with his mom?
Right.
I'm proud of you. Yeah. I love you.
Right.
Warming.
Don't look back.
Endearing. Yeah, don't look back. Like warming, endearing, lovely thoughts as he's, granted, holding his dying mother. But, I mean, all that's there. And, of course, that led to not so good things. And I tend to agree with you. I think, if anything, this episode convinced me even more that Ezra's end in this story is not going to be dying heroically. I think Ezra's end in this story is turning to the dark side.
Yeah.
And if Filoni and the folks at Disney XD and the folks at Lucasfilm are brave enough to go that direction, now whether that happens next season or season 4,
right,
whatever, but if they do that, that would be one of the gutsiest, ballsiest storytelling things ever, to take this beloved character like this and end with him being dark side. With Anakin, it was different. We knew from the moment we met the little 7-year-old kid
right,
that his
we
destiny
knew it was coming.
Yeah,
We
we knew he was.
ourselves
It's already been told he's going
right,
to become Darth Vader. To take this kid in an animated series,
Aladdin. It's like if Aladdin goes to the dark side.
yes,
Yeah,
Aladdin
yeah,
becomes Jafar.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're talking about here. It would be so, from a storytelling point of view, so courageous for them to do that. And now which is unfortunate because now I'm getting myself invested in that
right,
idea to
right,
see how this unfolds. But I've become more convinced of it than ever.
I'm curious about I guess we're going to talk about our predictions for later on, a little later. Because I'm just thinking about X10, what his secret might be.
And then I think that's going to be one of the big reveals. But it's one way or another, whether the characters die heroically or they disappear, go off the grid. We know that they're not around in the next 3 years of this story. So eventually we will find out what happens to them, whether it be one of them. I think I think there's going to be something huge that happens at the end of season 2. Now, whether or not that's a character death or a change in character, or maybe I still eventually think that Sabine is going to leave the crew altogether. Sabine's the one I don't think is going to die. I think Sabine's gonna. I think Sabine's gonna go off and be with the Mandalorians, and that's the end of it. Now, whether or not she becomes Felicity Jones or not, we'll find that out once Rogue One hits. So yeah.
Okay, that brings up an interesting thing I was going to do. Now, on our other Star Wars show, Collider Jedi Council, which you can watch every Thursday, by the way, we end each episode when we remember to go a little bit of an over-under. We ask for a percentage chance that Rey and Kylo Ren will end up being related, and a percentage chance of what do you think the chances are of them being siblings, like flat-out siblings. So let me throw a new question out here.
Let's do it.
For Rebels. Over, under, I'm going to make the number 35%. The number is 35%. Over or under 35%, David, we'll start with you. The chances that one of the regular cast members of Rebels actually has a role to play in Star Wars Rogue One.
Regular cast or anyone on the show?
One of, say, the top 8 characters in the show, whether it's a Hera or a Callus or something like that.
How about Sato? Does he count?
I'll say Sato as well. Okay. Yeah. And not just their name mentioned, but actually has a role to play in the movie.
So we have
over under 35%.
So we have to add, give or take, 10 years plus another 30.
No, this is Rogue One.
No,
not
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Okay, about to say.
So
okay.
it would only be like
2 or 3 years.
I thought we were talking about Force Awakens.
No,
okay, Rogue
2
One.
years.
I want to say Ahsoka.
So you say over?
Over or under 35%?
Over 35%.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Ahsoka.
I think Ahsoka would be dead by then.
No.
Yeah, I say over, but I say whether or not it's a general or it won't be Kanan, won't be Ezra. It's possible Zeb would be interesting. Zeb would be very
It'd be
interesting.
cool new alien. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
I would say my 2 bets are either Sabine or Hera. Those are the 2 that I would say, or the general. So I'm going over.
Now wait, I think with Sabine, Felicity Jones, we've seen the photo of them, with Diego Luna and all them, looking all kind of grimy. But Sabine's, isn't she kind of like alien looking a little bit? She's not, or she's straight humanoid?
Yeah, I think she's straight. But the one
just the hair that throws
she's
me.
Mandalorian.
She's a little short.
Okay, all right, yeah.
She's a little short too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on the under 35%. I don't think we will. if we would, I tend to believe it would be a Sabine. I think it would be, if we did, but I'm going to go. I really don't think we're going to see Ahsoka Tano in there because at Star Wars Celebration, now granted, maybe he was playing around with words, but I believe him. He said, look, one of the things about Rogue One is a galaxy without Jedi. Like, there's no Jedi.
Right.
And you could say that people, I'm sure, jump yelling at the screen, but Tano's not a Jedi anymore because she left the Order. I understand. I don't think, though, he was playing semantics.
Right. And I always reference, well, the reason I go over is because when producer Kiri Hart was asked about, so you guys are aware that Rogue One is around the same time period, so are we going to see anybody from Rogue One? She's like, let's just say that we're very aware that they take place in the same time period.
Right.
And she didn't say no. She didn't say yes. But she said, we're very aware it takes place in that time period. So that, to me, means even if, and I know that this is not what we're doing here, but I think even if there's not an appearance, there'll certainly be a mention to tie the properties together.
I think I'll be interested to see the next episode of Rebels when we ask this question again, see how our lines move.
Right.
But we want to know what you think, guys, too. Why don't you participate in this little thing? Jump in the comments section. Over or under 35% that one of the regular cast members of Rebels will make an appearance and have a role to play in the upcoming Star Wars anthology film Rogue One. Leave us your thoughts below. So I guess that'll do it for this season.
Are we doing predictions? Or what's
we haven't done predictions yet, have we?
Yes.
All right, well, let's start with you, Christian. Predictions for what we might be seeing coming up soon.
Well, I think that this prisoner is going to have, whether or not he's a bad guy or not, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe do like a little bit of a switch that he turns out to be bad, but I don't think so. I think because his governing position on Lothal and that he did have a relationship with Ezra's parents, I'd like to see where that goes. I think we're getting a Vader appearance or at least an Emperor appearance in this prisoner thing, because that's what was supposed to be, I think, the mid-season finale. Whether it's the last one or the first one back, I think we're going to get Vader back, and I think we're going to get a little bit more story of who these people were, and then we're going to finally get that information of who the Grand Inquisitor was. We're going to find Filoni teased that he's a character we saw in the Clone Wars. Who is he?
My prediction, I mean, it's safe to say that it's going to revolve around X-10 because the name of the next episode is Secret X-10. And I believe this. I believe X-10 is Adma Solo. I believe he is Han Solo's father.
What?
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to predict that this guy is actually Han Solo's father.
Where'd you get that from?
I'm just making it up.
I think got a little inside information, maybe.
I'm just making
a little inside information.
You don't just make up Han Solo's dad.
This is prediction time. I'm just making it up.
I'll find it. You're just making it up now, but I'll tell you what. If it is his dad, we're going to have a conversation.
No way.
So that's where I
the
think
Force is with
go
John if
that.
he's right.
Yeah.
The Force is
What
with
about
him.
you? What's your big prediction?
I think the secret of Prisoner X-10 is he's going to be the reason why Ezra's parents are dead. I think he's going to maybe possibly betrayed them. You know, that's what they thought the whole called prison escape. Maybe I think he betrayed them, and I think whatever that secret is going to connect that story to a bigger story with Vader and the Empire, and that's going to propel Ezra. I think this episode was a jumping off point for Ezra. I think he put his parents behind him. He knows what happened, and whatever happens after this is just that's going to go to his end.
I have to believe that too. That maybe they're not dead.
Yeah.
Maybe X-10 was simply like asked by them. Look, as far as anybody's concerned, we're dead. We're dead. Because as long as we're alive, we might be a danger to our son. We might be a danger to something. So maybe that comes out. Because remember, in his vision, he sees his parents in that cell.
Right.
And all you see is a shadow coming in. Right? What if that's X-10?
It's a stupid cat.
The cat sees all.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let us know your predictions as well. Jump in the comment section. Leave your prediction about what direction you think we're going here with the secret of X-10. Leave us your thoughts. So that will do it for this installment of our Collider Star Wars Rebels recap show. I want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me over here. David, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at GriffinDE.
Over here, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you?
At Christian Harloff, both Twitter and Instagram. Follow me on Periscope. John and myself are headed to the Force Awakens premiere on Monday, and I'll be doing a Periscope. We're doing a live stream on YouTube. Make sure you check that out. And obviously, Collider Jedi Council every Thursday. Get your hashtag in there, Collider Jedi Council.
This Thursday, the final Jedi Council before we see The Force Awakens.
And Tiffany Smith, the Smith Lord, makes her first appearance.
Yeah, will be here with us. And, of course, you guys can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter just by following me at John Campea. That'll do it to us. Special thanks to Dennis behind the cameras for making everything happen. And thank you to you guys for joining us. So until next time, bye-bye.